What I bought? A new Blink Mini 2K Plus smart security camera. What I got? 2K clarity sharp enough to see every detail of home when I'm away. Plus audio like I'm in the room, not with my bestie traveling to another city. Plus easy plug-in setup to install faster than skipping through podcast ads. But you'd never skip ads, right? Plus, I got all of this for just $49.99. Blink Mini 2K Plus. Mini camera, max performance. Shop now at amazon.com/blink.
Welcome back, folks. This is episode, another episode, another one. It's about payroll. What's going on, Walt?
Nothing, man. Good to be here. Excited for all these guests that we have coming up, lined up. We've been having a lot of guests here recently, a lot of great nuggets, a lot of great information, a lot of great insight into payroll and how they do their thing in HR and everything like that, man. So I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, you just made me think of something, right? Because I know how we've been putting learning stuff together, and I've been trying to come up with a name for little learning tidbits, right? And oh man, I wonder if I could pull it up real quick. So I finally just asked Chat. I was like, let me have ChatGPT help me with this, and it came up with not only a bunch of them. Learning advice names. Here we go. So the one that I really like, and he even broke it, Chat broke it down with different options and stuff like that, right? But he gave me brain bite. Here's a brain bite.
Okay.
Right now, I like brain bite, and because people often mess up my name when they type it instead of Brian, they type it brain, and there's no spell correct because both are right.
Actual words,
right? So I never take offense to it because I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm brainy, I got a brain, I take it as a compliment,
Walter's pinky, I'm the brain, yeah.
Right. Oh, so I got something else there too. So I'm going to use brain bite, and it the tagline could be smart payroll insights, one bite at a time.
Yep.
Or because every bite of payroll knowledge matters.
Oh,
I think I like the first one though.
I like both.
You're like, both are good.
Yeah.
And then you could actually check it out too, because you could pick something that you like, and when you drop knowledge, you can use one of them, and it's tailored to our branding. What I did love about Chat, I don't know if all of them did it, but Chat 5 now, it kind of pulled in, I didn't ask it to, but it was hey, it even had stuff for Payla. It brought in info from other chats and was like, would you like to brand this according to your payroll, according to your Let me see what I have for Payla. So for Payla, it said Payla's pointer.
I like that.
Well, and that's the only one, because then it picked up the names that you had in there for Payla. I guess in the comics, there's a Charles, a Samantha, and a Friends Fix, or a Friends Fix, it says. So anywho, so I had another couple that said Pay Point, Pay Spark, Pay Path, Pay Note, Pay Clue. What other one? Knowledge. This is a bunch of them. So you go grab something that you like, or
can't use PayPal, can we?
Sure can't. So I really like that. I'm gonna start using Brain Bite.
I really like that one.
Yeah. And it asked me, oh, what should you want? I said, I'm going to go with Brain Bite because and I actually told Chat, because people mess up my name and say Brent, it said, oh, that's brilliant. Works perfectly for you, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, cool.
That's something, right?
Damn, you made me think of something else. But what's up with you, man? Nothing going on? Anything you want to share before our guest comes on?
Everything's good, man. No complaints. Thank you for saying that. And I'm definitely going to check that out and see if I can come up with anything. I'm excited for, we can erase this if I'm not supposed to say it. Oh. But I know we're working on our book.
Yeah, we've been dropping the book on the show, yeah.
And then I'm working on my own personal thing.
That's why I'm excited.
And, I just keep having revisions and adding to it. So even if you want to go check it out, it's updated now. So even from what you read, there's I've added 5 or 6 or 7 chapters.
Dang.
Instead, yeah. And so
okay, so again, do you know what done looks like yet?
I think it's almost there.
Okay.
I'm gonna let certain loved ones read it, and then just to get their insight on it and say, hey, this is what's about to drop and everything. And it should be done within the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be dropping, man.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's we got to wrap it up.
So,
And there was something else too, but I forgot now.
I said something about pinky and the brain. And did you comment on that with that Dr. King? It'll come back.
Oh, yes, it is. So
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, oh, if we had like taglines for ourselves, right? Today's guest is Brent Skinner, a recognized voice in the world of HCM, HR, and the host of Future of Payment and Workforce Management by HR.com, which I had the pleasure of being on with you. Quoted in the Wall Street Journal and known for his sharp insights into HR tech, Brent brings a unique lens shaped by years of analyst, editor, strategic advisory, and top vendors like Ceridian and Cornerstone. Whether on stage or in the press or behind the mic, Brent is all about meaningful conversations on the future of work. How you doing today, sir?
No, I'm doing great. Thank you. That was a very, very nice introduction. I want to thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I do want to manage sort of expectations here. I was quoted in the Wall Street Journal. Gosh, it was maybe 17 years ago now.
Hey, win is a win.
That's right. That's right. It was by accident.
Really?
Someone else was supposed to be quoted. They weren't there. And I said, hey,
No
I'll
way.
do it. Me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Opportunity, right? Seize the day, right? Shoot your shot. So wait, what was it about?
Didn't have to do with talent. It was about careers.
Okay.
And it was around talent acquisition. And I'd have to go back to the article. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you can read all about it.
Nice. So
I am super psyched to be on the podcast today.
Thank
by
you,
the way.
man.
No,
we really were excited to have you. I've been looking forward to have you on since before I was on yours, and yeah, man. So Brent, we always ask everybody like, what's the origin story? What got you here? How'd you start in all this?
Oh, I'm going to do my best to make this 30 minutes instead of 30 hours. So let's go.
Give us
My
elevator
origin
pitch version.
Yeah.
Want me to skip past being born, going to elementary school and high school? You want to skip all that? I'll skip all that. So we'll fast forward to my third decade. Well, I had 3 decades of life under my belt. I was in my fourth, about midway through it. Those good math can figure it out. And I fell into HCM. I fell into it. I didn't even know it was HCM when I started. I was probably working in it for a couple of years before I knew it was called HCM. People are like, who's this guy? You start paying attention, man. But no, I was working research into the compensation of executive recruiters. And that was information that the Berries and the hydrogen struggles of the world were very interested in. And from there, I joined HRO Today as their technology editor. I'm skipping a few things here. I've been on the vendor side 3 times. Once at Dayforce back when it was Ceridian. Yep. Working with their executives there. I've been an industry analyst 3 times.
Wow.
So from there, I went to Nucleus Research, learned a lot about the return on investment of HCM deployments, learned a lot about payroll too when it comes to HCM deployments. We always talked about payroll and we've talked about HCM technology deployments, even though sometimes it falls under finance. That's a tangent. But anyways, I've been at Cornerstone Demand. Also, I've been at another industry firm that I co-founded, 360 Insights, a while back, about 5 years ago now. Yep.
Know that.
Yep. And some of your listeners may have heard of iSolved. Maybe.
Sure.
Yes. I spent a stint there as well on the People Heroes Tour, delivering some of the keynotes across the country.
Amazing.
Now I'm at HR.com, which is an excellent organization. I love what Deb McGrath has done with HR.com and joined as an executive community leader for the future of payroll. And entailed with that is a podcast, the podcast that you were a guest on, Brian, not too long ago. And I think the episode just went live in this past month.
Yes.
It did. We had an awesome conversation and there were a few things we wanted to keep talking about. So maybe you can remind me what they were, because I know a lot of things.
I'm only remembering one. I think I may have been the only one. Is AI, right? And it's going to be an ongoing topic for a long time. I give my 2 cents. What's your opinion on AI as it impacts HCMs and payroll?
Oh, that's a big one. And there are very, very, very smart people who know a lot about AI specifically, who might know a little bit more than I do. But from my perch, I think there's a lot of potential upside for AI with payroll. I think we need to be careful about it. I think we need to manage our expectations in terms of what AI really can do in payroll, at least for now, and leverage what it really can do right now already.
Yep.
So I'll leave it that for the moment, and we'll probably dig into it. But I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Wall, you want to go first?
Yeah. So for me, like my sticking point for AI is, even though it's going to be a wonderful and amazing tool, we're still going to have to audit against the products that it puts out, the information or the data that it uses and spits out. It's still going to have to be checked. Still going to have to be validated. Still going to have to be verified. It's not like we can just sit back and just trust that it's doing the correct thing, because right now it still hallucinates. We use the latest version of ChatGPT, and it still has issues. So I think AI is going to be a wonderful tool, but I think it's going to definitely change the
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 125,000 bonus miles for a limited time through October 29th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends October 29th, 2025.
The layout of how we process payroll. But I also think that we have to be careful and use wisdom before we implement it in, and just not be so quick without doing our due diligence before we just implement it in our environments. That's my feeling on it. What about you, Brian?
So, yeah, all those things. But what I really loved was, and the timing of perfect, Anita Latink just dropped an article, and it's called Why AI and Payroll Means You Must Adapt or Get Left Behind, right? And I've been saying this on the show ever since AI has been a topic. Payroll folks have to usher AI in and be the ones that bring it in and control that narrative and control the strategy and control the implementation into their world. Because if not, and as she says in this article very eloquently, you're going to get replaced, right? More so if you're operationally in payroll. And what I really love is that she breaks down some things that what you should learn, right? You can't just leave it there like, hey, yeah, get an AI, because like you said, Brent, there's people that are way smarter than us that understand the AI piece, that's their world, agnostic of any industry. They are working on AI. So I really like that she kind of goes over the things that, hey, you don't have to have a computer science degree, you don't have to be a math genius, but you got to be willing to dig into key areas to be able to be that usher and be that, to control that narrative and that strategy of how AI gets implemented into your world. So I think that's great, and she talks specifically around understanding models, analyzing the inputs, having a grasp of logic, and recognizing biases, right?
Yeah.
So this little article is really game changing for payroll pros, because until now, I haven't seen anybody laying down that foundation for us, that pathway to the future with AI and how we bring it in. We're just kind of waiting for folks to tell us something. We can't do that, right? I tell folks all the time, we got to dig in. We got to be intentional about learning about these things, because if not, there's somebody out there working harder than you, learning quicker than you, and getting better at it than you. And you might just sit back and say, "Ooh, wow, what happened?" Right?
Yeah. So many things I'm thinking of. And so let me see if I can go through them one by one and remember them all. That's the big thing. So first of all, I spoke with Kira Rubiano, who some listeners may know and you two do. She's with Payroll Minds and has been in space for a long time. I really respect her work and her her perspective on payroll. We actually had a conversation, recorded it for my podcast. It hasn't gone live yet. It will sometime in November. Yeah, I'll let everybody know. But we talked about in the green room, not so much during the podcast, but in the green room, we talked about AI. It's happening. Let me swoop out a little bit. It's a big mistake to resist
Exactly.
AI. It's a big mistake, right? But it's just as big a mistake to just let it all in willy-nilly without a plan.
Exactly.
And also to let it in before you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
This is really what you're saying, Brian, is, I think of metaphors, and I'm just infamous for taking metaphors way too far. I'm going to take this one way too far too.
Oh.
But it's like an usher at a church. You think of payroll as being sort of sacrosanct. I mean, it really is. This is an incredibly important mission critical function that happens every week, 2 weeks, or some places a month. Right? And you can't defile it. You absolutely cannot defile it. And it also always have to work on making it better. So when somebody shows up to church, a new person, right? An actual church, right? You have ushers that let them in, they show them where to sit. They take them, hey, here's our coffee and everything. So you want to just have people coming in an orderly way. They're welcome. In a similar way, AI, it's welcome in payroll, but we need to usher it in an orderly fashion. Just think if it's an actual usher. So that's something I really wanted to get out there. And now the conversation I had with Kira Rubiano is that when you think about AI, don't let the AI in too soon. You have to make sure that you understand your own payroll processes first. A lot of organizations, this is not a criticism, but they don't really truly understand their work, their payroll processes. They know what it is, but they don't know why it is what it is necessarily. It just kind of accumulated and built over time. And it could certainly be made smarter, streamlined, just from a workflow standpoint before you even bring in new technology, let alone AI. So that's something we talked about. And I think that's really important to bear in mind in this conversation. Going back to what you said, Walt, about the hallucinations, right? I had an incredibly illuminating conversation with a fellow named Jerome Gouvernel, who some in the audience may know, you too may. He was at the ADP for a very long time. Now he's the founder and co-founder and CEO of Datascale HR.
Oh, I've heard of Datascale. Okay.
Yes. And this is a gross oversimplification,
Sure.
but what he does is he lets the AI go in there, and the AI kind of just takes care of integrations, and they can do what normally might take months, they can do in a couple of days or even less time.
Wow.
It's really interesting. But we went off on a tangent during our conversation, again, on the podcast. Sorry for all the plugs for my podcast, but I came in
Shameless plug.
like my
No,
own podcast.
we plug you all the time, man. No worries.
But anyway, we went off on a tangent. It was really interesting. I learned a lot in that conversation. One of the things I learned is that hallucinations, that's not a bug. That's not a bug. That's a feature of AI. Something about, and this is where my understanding of AI kind of reaches its outer limits. I'm just kind of listening to what people tell me, but apparently the AI is designed not to produce an exact, perfect answer, because that helps it learn. So the hallucinations are kind of a byproduct of that. Sometimes when and you're in the idea is that you're supposed to inform it when it's hallucinated. Hey, you're wrong or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now, who wants a technology that's designed? This is where the denizens of AI might watch this podcast and say, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. But let's just pretend I do. So, right? AI, you don't want a system like a technology that's by its very nature, by design, it produces an answer that isn't exact. When payroll is all about being exact, right?
Yeah.
From the computational side of it. That's why, there's a lot that AI can do in terms of employee self-service with large language models where, you sick that LLM on your entire payroll, information system. And so when an employee asks a question, it can spit back an answer that's very detailed to help them understand, for example, their paycheck. I heard the analogy a while back, and it makes a lot of sense. Who understands their phone bill? their smartphone bill, their cellular bill. I don't know about you guys, but I look at it and I glaze over. I don't understand it. And, and there are, I'm sure if I spent an entire day or week looking into it, I might be able to understand it. And, maybe I'd be a better person for that, but I wouldn't be productive on all my other things. If the podcast wouldn't get produced. So anyway, but the point is, those companies, there's kind of like an incentive for them to want you not to understand your phone bill. So you just be like, okay, I'll just pay it, right? But when it comes to your paycheck, that should be anything but inscrutable, right? It should be very easy to understand. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the actual slip, and I know we're talking about a PDF or like a digital image of it these days, as opposed to an actual hard copy. But at the very least, there should be a way for you as an employer to explain it to them very easily, so that they won't get frustrated, so they'll understand. And that'll have an ever so incremental impact on employee retention, because we know payroll is a big, big source one way or the other when it comes to employee retention. So that's where AI can really come in handy today. And there are things that AI, from what I understand, can handle on its own when it comes to repeatable processes or complex repeatable processes in payroll and this sort of thing, which is obviously welcome.
You know,
What do you guys think about autonomous payroll? I keep hearing about it. It's kind of exciting. It also seems like futuristic. I didn't understand. At first few times I heard it several years ago, I thought, what does this mean?
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. Yeah. I thought, oh, the driverless autonomous Google cars. This is payroll that runs on its own. Like, what is this all about?
Well, honestly, this is the first time we talk about it. And I mean, now I'm wondering, well, what's the difference between AI and payroll and autonomous payroll? Because wouldn't it school us, tell us what you know?
Well, I'll do a very mangled, blunt job of this. But from what I understand is that it's basically this idea that AI will eventually run all of payroll, and you might have somebody just kind of babysitting.
Well, yeah,
and that's
that's what I think. I think we'll become payroll pilots, and babysitters is not as nice, right? I like pilots. Pilots seems a little bit more important. But yeah, I mean, I agree that it will get to that point, and we just kind of sit back and make sure it's doing its thing, like we see in the movies. I think it's possible because payroll is all based on logic. There's no art form to it. Strategy, I think, is an art. The way we have, different payrollers come up with their strategy and how they apply to understand all the things. But at the end of the day, it's very black and white. And when it is repeatable, black and white, that is kind of what Anita's saying. That's going to get replaced. That is absolutely AI is going to take that over. Because, it's not like music where, and I mean, shoot, AI is making music too. So, and that is an art form. Payroll is not an art form. It's an exact science. It's exact calculations. It's exact compliance. Yes, it gets updated, but all it needs to do is go to the website and get the update from the government websites, right? It just needs to connect that to make it happen. So everything is very black and white, and logic and law. It's employment law, right? It's government laws that dictate how we do this. So I believe it. I think we're going to get there. I think humans will slow it down and not, whoa, what do you mean autonomous? By itself, people are just going to get paid? No. We must have Walter man the gates and the things, because
it's like you said, that pilot is going to be there, right?
Yes.
Like, so maybe it's going to compile all the data, do it in an instant for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
And before it finalizes anything, we just have to just make sure that nobody's getting paid $92 million.
There you go. unless they're supposed to.
Unless it's I'm okay with it.
Exactly.
So it's so funny because there's that this is a little bit of a tangent too, but the errors in payroll, they happen all the time, right? And they're really contingent upon they hinge upon how good your technology is and your workflow, right? But all the underpayments get get reported right away by the
That's
people
right.
under.
Not the overpay.
Unless it's like unless it's maybe a tinier underpayment and they might not notice, right? But I'm willing to bet almost no overpayment unless it's so crazy that they're afraid they'll get in trouble for not mentioning it, right? Many overpayments do not get reported, right? We don't know what those are.
I agreed. And I think in my career, which is now 20 plus years, maybe 3 or 4 times that an employee has actually said, "Hey, I think I got too much."
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
That was probably an infinitesimal percentage of who actually was overpaying. And it's really interesting in terms of, I'm going to take the metaphor too far. Just really just like stretch this metaphor. The autopilot, the autopilot, right? Autonomous payroll and payroll pilots. I love that idea, right? I mean, if with autonomous payroll, the autopilot payroll, it's going wrong, right? Then the populace are like, just like everyone on the plane is like, somebody get the pilot, take the wheel or whatever. We get an engine out. We're like losing altitude and all this stuff, man. Why are we leaving the AI on? Come on. And even if, you could even tell people in this point in time, maybe 100 years from now, our attitudes they'll be completely different about everything, right? But maybe 100 years from now, it'll be fine. But right now, try to tell somebody that no, the AI is better equipped to deal with this situation than actually putting a person in that seat behind the wheel. It's not a wheel, whatever it is that the pilots, not real, like the controller, like nobody's going to believe you. Yeah. So you still have a cultural challenge. And an employer culture challenge. So that's another thing you really got to be careful about when you're bringing AI into your processes and weaving it into your technology stack where you are for payroll and any other area of HCM or the enterprise stack in general. There's some, especially in HCM because it's so viscerally connected to people in the organizations, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I have a question for both of you. From a small business standpoint, in my mind, I could see more small businesses leaning towards that autonomous automatic payroll, letting AI do it so they can potentially save money if they have someone that's a payroll pilot and just kind of take on that role or responsibility themselves.
Wear a hat. Yep. Wear the hat. Yep.
Do you think that's, am I right in thinking that way? Do you think that's like, it's just going to be, case by case?
That's an interesting question.
I think if it saves the money, right, they're going to definitely want to try.
Okay.
You're right. Follow the money. That's at the end of the day, that's going to drive a lot of this. But thinking about it just from several angles, right? You have this idea. This is where I got to go back to what you were saying, Brian, around the payroll pilot. If you give that person the right type of title role that people see, and they might not even, this is a little bit of smoke and mirrors, I guess, maybe, but as an organization, you could from the outset, especially if you're a small business getting started with payroll, right? From the outset, you can incorporate AI into your payroll to the nth degree, and you can set it up from the very beginning so that the employer culture kind of just understands that, and they don't even think about it because they think of this person who's in charge. There's a person, the payroll pilot is in charge of payroll, not the AI. Right. This is sort of a semantic sort of thing, but it's psychological, but it's very real. So yeah, Walt, I think it's interesting to think about that idea, and I have to say that probably, but if you that would work, I think. But talking about companies that have already been in business for a long time or have an established payroll process with people running it, and there's sort of an understanding between the employer and the employees that this is how it's run, right? To try to pivot. That's a tall order. That's a tall order. This is actually at odds with something that I like to say is, payroll's always in the background. Like operationally, payroll should be the hum of the refrigerator in the background. Nobody's even thinking about it because it's just
always
right. Or yes. Or it always happens on time at the very least, right? But from an experience standpoint, whenever it goes wrong, it becomes a very sort of an existential threat.
Absolutely.
You have a neon in your hands in terms of retention and all that, right? So it's kind of like the power company. I wake up in the morning and I turn on the light in the bathroom and it turns on. I don't call up the power company and say, hey man, thanks for sending me my electricity this morning, right?
You're right. Yeah.
Great.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
But
Goes wrong,
if it's
then
off, then that's when, that's when we go calling. Now, I'm going to switch gears for you guys a bit, right? And it always makes me think of this book called The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. I talk about it on the show all the time, right? And he wrote this, I think, 10 years ago, but he was talking about automation. And one of the biggest things he talked about was how planes already fly themselves. And the pilot is literally there just to make us comfortable. And you actually see some of this in the movie with Denzel when he wrote that, I forget the name of it, but he was a pilot and he crashes. And they talk about how because he should not have gotten involved in it, he should have let the automation land the plane and not overwritten it, because the data shows that the pilots getting involved cause more crashes than letting the automation handle it. So he talks about that in that book, and he talks also about how letting these automations take over will impact industry and money too much, that is what will the powers that be, that's why they will slow it down, because it will cause too much economic impact too quickly, right? Because think about the cars, right? The Waymos and the Ubers, they're already operating in cities and around the country, right? Waymo and both of them just expanded into new cities. So sure, there's accidents happening, but not, the percentage is way below actual car accidents that people cause, right?
You're really making me think here. So two things. This is really interesting. So two things that kind of unrelated. I think so. There's an assumption in that the market will be able to respond the way we expect it to something moving this quickly, because nothing has moved this quickly in the past. It doesn't mean that theoretically it doesn't make sense that it wouldn't be good for it to do so.
That's right.
Right. But I wonder, and then completely unrelated, I hope so. I just want to clarify that I hope it does. But the other one is this, this statistically, it shows that with the flights, with the airplanes. I love this metaphor. I'm glad that we've been able to bring this metaphor, the analogy, or whatever it is, analogy, metaphor, whatever, schmalogy, metaphor. It's been with us. We've been talking about airplanes. Yeah. So it's really interesting because, yes, the autopilot, which is, it's shown that statistically it knows what to do far more often than it doesn't, better than a human, right? But that's interesting because, and I'm no statistician, or, I don't know about, like the finer nuances of variable, like, like chance and, probability, right? But to me, if you disallow, if you proscribe, if you just across the board, no human may ever intervene in an emergency situation, because there will be far fewer accidents if you just let the autopilot. What about the times we don't know which times the human would have actually figured it out and the autopilot wouldn't have? We don't
Oh,
know.
you're right.
We have no
Sure.
idea. And so in an indirect way, we're actually responsible for the loss of lives by not allowing humans to get involved. And so we might be indirectly responsible for people getting paid incorrectly if we don't let people get involved when they think they see something wrong in payroll. And thank goodness it's just getting paid, not
live. I love how you brought it back. I love how you did that. Yeah, and you're right. But then there's also this economic impact, right? Because
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It can definitely replace a lot of jobs. How quickly are we going to let that happen? And are folks already slowing it down to allow for transition? Is that why, will AI be the answer to backfill payroll? Right? Because we don't have enough young people. That's one of the things we talked about on your show, Brent, right? Is payroll. And now it's becoming a conversation in the industry a little bit more that I'm seeing. Me and Walt been talking about it for 2 years. And now folks are getting on the bandwagon and saying, oh gosh, wait, we got to train people to get in. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And, but maybe that's the answer, is kind of, we have to fast forward and implement those easy repeatable tasks, because we're not getting folks excited enough about getting into payroll.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I saw a stat the other day. It was a headline, and I don't remember where it was published or anything like that. I didn't save it, but it said essentially that company leaders are admitting that they are hiring far fewer entry level roles. This was across industry. I didn't look at the breakdown, but on the balance, like the average, it's down, way down.
Wow.
Because AI is taking over that stuff. And that is you're bringing back to payroll specifically, but just applicable to just about any
industry
profession, right? Is, how do you learn the profession if you can't start at the ground floor? I mean, where's this sort of this fairy tale, not a fairy tale, but this sort of story that we hear over and over again in business? It's always a heartwarming tale of the person who started at the ground floor, learned the entire business, and finally became the CEO of the company, right? Is that going away, right? And what do you do for bridge for people that are willing and eager to take on jobs in the area that they're interested in, with the additional challenge of very few people sort of being dead set on doing payroll as opposed to kind of falling into it. So they have an extra layer of challenge there, right? How are you going to bring in those people? One of the things that's really interesting here is that from a more of a broader standpoint, sort of a global standpoint, I don't mean like world, but, just like over a holistic standpoint. What's really interesting here is that, at what point will businesses figure out that they'll figure this out? It will be figured out, but we need people in jobs making money so they can buy our stuff that we're trying to make, or our services that we're trying to provide.
There you go.
Right? If the only people with jobs are AI agents, right? Then you get a little bit of a situation.
Oh yeah, exactly right. And circling back, that's kind of what Nicholas Carr talks about in The Shallows, because it's they want to slow it down. Because another example that I really like that he gives is the autonomous trucking industry, right? In cars. Think about that, right? Because if they're autonomous, you eliminate some travel impact. There's travel impact. There's the whole logistics of moving goods around the country impact, trains, cars, cabs. right? Flying even, because now, hey, if I could just sit back and go to sleep in my car, I don't need to fly. I can endure the longer trip instead of the quick trip because I can just go to sleep, right? So it's insurance industry. Insurance will drop way down. There's no people so all these different economic impacts he talks about, and that's why the powers that be are like, wait, hold on, we won't be able to endure that economically. And you just bring up another great point, like, whoa, wait, we need folks to keep spending. We live in a capitalist economy.
Yeah. Yeah. That butterfly effect is profound. We don't know what it is. And I would take it back to sort of the regulation of AI and how that probably affects payroll just as much as anything else, right? There is a need, I think, implicit in the need. I think the accurate observation that we need to slow it down. Implicit in that is, well, we need more regulation for it. And that may well be, but how, if we don't understand these butterfly effects, because there have always been butterfly effects that regulations have not really comprehended, the regulators haven't necessarily comprehended, even working with industry to develop, comprehensive regulations that seems to make sense to everybody on all sides of the issue. Still, even in those situations, there have been butterfly effects that have not been anticipated, unintended consequences. Here, the unintended consequences are manifold and, and tenfold, right? And so how do you, what is the approach to slow down the AI as opposed to just, the butcher's knife, blunt instrument of just, hey, we got to stop implementing it as fast, right? Because in my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if that's enough to just have that as your governing principles. That we're not going to implement it too fast. We're going to slow down its implementation. I don't know if that's really the right approach to slowing it down. I just wonder, is that going to be enough to slow it down? Do we need to do other things too?
That's a great question.
It's a great question. Yeah. Look, we can talk about this all
yeah,
day.
exactly. And that's I'm gonna break it up here and say, look, I want to be mindful of your time, Brent. And before we get too far down, we'd love to play a game before you go, called This or That. And Walt does, some great research here to see if we can trip you up here a bit and give you some hard choices. Walt, you want to start it off, and I'll.
All right. All right. So, do you prefer the Boston Celtics or the Red Sox?
I'm a Yankee fan, by the way. So.
Why are you making me?
You can say both. You can say both.
You can say both or neither.
Oh, no.
Both? Okay.
Both. I love them both. I love them both. I love Larry Bird. I love the 2004 Red Sox that
finally won a World Series. Was that the year?
Yes, the ALCS where they beat the Yankees was the real World Series for us.
That's right. That's right.
Big Poppy was up at bat for a half hour, and he kept hitting fouls or getting balls. And it's like you were down to the last strike of the third strikeout of the ninth inning. And he just single-handedly kept us in that game. And then we won in extra innings. It was just, I had an ALCS champion t-shirt on my hatchback. It had like a window. Anybody in a small vehicle could see it. For years after that, so I finally retired.
I'm glad because they could stop crying after it. I was tired of Red Sox fans crying all the time. Person of Bambino. Thank God.
It's real.
Yeah. All right. So next one, Back to the Future or Bill and Ted?
Back to the Future.
Okay. All right. And then Excel or Google Sheets?
Neither.
Oh, that's first time we got neither.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Honestly, I cut my teeth on Excel, and I'm no power user, but I can do some functions and stuff, and I understand it. I had to pivot to Google Sheets for various reasons recently, and I actually prefer Excel just ever so slightly for a few little quirks of like keystrokes and stuff, but I love the auto saving and like,
Yes.
I mean, you can do auto save, but I mean, you can share easily and all
Yeah.
this stuff. I know they have like one drive and all this stuff. It's just not the same. But I really don't like spreadsheets. I guess it's what
Yeah. I like
I
that.
love that answer. I love
Right.
it.
Would you rather sail or fly?
fly.
Okay. Lobster roll or clam chowder?
Clam chowder. Oh, wait. Lobster roll or lobster roll.
Oh,
Lobster
yeah.
roll. And with the clam chowder.
Both.
You know.
And an IPA, a nice double
Oh,
IPA.
that sounds good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dang, yeah, for real. Would you rather write or type?
Type.
Really?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, man. Brent, man, what an amazing conversation. We got to do this in person one day. I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to the day we start doing some of these podcasts in person at the desk, and like the cool guys do on TV, right? The cool folks have on. I'm like, I want to do that podcast, on a couch in person, right? You know what I
Listen,
mean?
we're already cool, so we're halfway there.
Yeah,
So
you
right?
got that right. You got that right. Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much for joining us today, and look out for the future of. Remind us.
Payroll. Future of payroll and workforce management
by HR.com. Yep, it was a great podcast. Go check them out. Where else can folks find you?
They can find me at the magazine there. They can find me on the blog. They can find me on LinkedIn. I always putting up some thoughts there. Looking forward to interacting with the community.
Awesome.
All right.
Great. Until the next time, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Love you.
Thank you.